You know it. You feel it. You've been there. In that exact moment when there are no words. And even if there were, they would seem too empty. You've tried, haven't you? Tried to get up early, tried to bend your knees, tried to empty your mind, tried to close your eyes and feel something, anything. But the prayer got stuck in your throat. The silence wasn't peace. It was anguish. The weight on your chest didn't leave with the first word, nor with the second, and the third never came. You thought, maybe God is silent, but it's not God's silence that deafens. It's the noise of the soul in conflict. You wanted to ask, but you didn't have the courage anymore. You wanted to scream, but you felt too tired even for that. And then you fell silent. And in that silence, where you thought you weren't praying, oh, you were. The Holy Spirit doesn't need rehearsed phrases. It's not the voice that moves the heavens. It's the surrendered heart. It's the gaze that rises through contained tears. It's the sigh that only He can understand. You still pray, even when everything seems dry. And that's where, exactly where, God begins to work. Because true prayer isn't born from human strength. It's born from brokenness. And when you see yourself too weak to continue, that's when heaven draws near. It's not about repeating words, it's about surrendering. You know that, don't you? You've felt it when the ground slips from under your feet, and there's no one who understands what's going on inside. And then you run to the corners where no one sees, kneel down slowly, as if your body were carrying an invisible pain, and deep down, you don't even know what to say anymore. But the Spirit understands. You thought prayer is a requirement, but it's not. It's a breath. It's a refuge. It's where pride dies and the real you appears before a God who doesn't demand perfection. You don't have to be right to pray. You just have to be present. How many times have you struggled to be someone strong? How many times have you forced yourself to believe you had enough faith just to avoid facing the emptiness? But now you understand. To pray is to admit that you can't do it alone anymore. It's to sit in His presence, with your eyes closed and your heart in pieces, and say, I don't know what to do anymore. And that's the beginning of the miracle. Do you remember that moment when you felt your chest tighten, as if the weight of life had sunk everything inside you? There the Holy Spirit was touching what you hid from everyone. You don't need to pretend anymore. You just need to enter. Enter the secret room where the floor is the altar, and the tears are more sacred than any beautiful speech. Prayer was never about convincing God to hear you. It was always about letting God reach you. You resisted for so long, and that resistance exhausts you. It consumes you. You look at yourself and no longer recognize that sparkle you once felt. But it's still there, because His presence isn't based on how you feel. It is. It exists. It remains. You know it, even on the longest nights, when the pillow gets wet in silence, even when the Bible remains closed for weeks, even when the worship no longer touches what it used to. He's still there, waiting for you to stop running. The secret was never the performance. The secret has always been the presence, and presence requires surrender. Do you remember what you felt in that service, that night, when everything inside you seemed to want to explode in tears, but you kept control? Why? Why didn't you let it happen? Was it the fear of getting lost in the middle of the pain? Was it the pride of seeming too weak? Was it the fear that, if you started crying, you would never be able to stop? But the Holy Spirit, He doesn't force you. He waits, like someone holding out a hand in the dark. You don't need to understand everything. You just need to say, come. You need to pray even when you don't feel like it. Because prayer isn't about you wanting to. It's about you needing to. You need the presence. Not an answer. Not a formula. Not an immediate miracle. You need to be healed from within. You walk around with your heart in shards, trying to function normally. You walk around smiling with empty eyes. You walk around fulfilling obligations, while inside you beg for rest. This exhaustion you feel, it's not just physical. It's spiritual. You're trying to resist what you should surrender to. And prayer, true prayer, isn't a request. It's a surrender. Do you feel that knot in your stomach? That strange pain that appears when you try to be too quiet? That's the scream that needs to come out. It's the Spirit calling you back to the presence. You think you've lost the fire, but fire isn't lost. fire is suffocated, with haste, with distractions, with fear, with guilt. You walked away, but he didn't. He's still here, right now. While you read each word and something burns inside, it's the Spirit, touching gently, calling you back, without guilt, without demands, just wanting to be with you. Prayer will remake you. It won't give you back the old version of yourself. It will create a new one, more sincere, lighter, more intimate with God. But you need to stop running. What's stopping you? What's still keeping you out of the presence? You know you're not okay. You know you need it. You know that time doesn't heal. It only hides. It's prayer that heals, because it's in prayer that the Spirit enters where no one else enters. It's in prayer that you drop the masks you've learned to wear. It's in prayer that you cry what you didn't even know was stored away. You feel like you can't pray like you used to? Maybe it's because now is the time to pray like never before, with sincerity, with tears, with pauses, with silence, with surrender. You've been resisting, but the more you resist, the heavier it gets. And that weight only comes off in the presence. Prayer is where the burden falls. It's where the soul breathes. It's where everything calms down, even if nothing changes. You want change? Start with prayer, not the rehearsed one, not the religious one, not the repeated one. The prayer that's born from the depths, from pain, from lack, from the desire to return. You need this more than you need answers, because prayer won't just change what's outside. It will change you. You will feel it. You will feel your heart beating differently. You will feel your eyes opening again. You will feel your soul resting for the first time in months. But you need to stop running. Prayer doesn't demand perfection. It demands surrender. And surrender hurts. It hurts to open what has been closed. It hurts to expose what has been hidden. It hurts to face what has been avoided. But it's in the pain of surrender that healing begins. You've spent too much time trying to sustain yourself alone. Now it's time to let go, to throw yourself in, to stop everything, close your eyes, and say, I'm here, I need it. That's when the Spirit comes. And when He comes, everything changes. Write in the comments, come with your fire, Holy Spirit, if you want to burn with love and faith for the Lord, but not in the way you expect. It's not a crack in the sky, nor an electric sensation running through your body. Sometimes it's a soft, silent, almost imperceptible warmth. Sometimes it's just a relief that comes as if to say, you can breathe now. And you breathe. For the first time in a long time, you breathe without the rush, without the fear, without the weight of your own thoughts suffocating every attempt to continue. Because that's what the Spirit does. He doesn't arrive imposing. He arrives invading with tenderness. And you know it's real because even without knowing how, you feel your heart open. You've always looked for relief, but maybe you've never allowed yourself to be truly found. It's easier to maintain the routine. It's easier to occupy yourself with everything. But now it's no longer possible. There's a silent cry rising inside you. A cry for something that the whole world hasn't been able to give. Not even the closest people have been able to reach the exact point where you bleed inside. And it's there. It's right there that the Holy Spirit wants to touch. Not to expose you, not to embarrass you, but to show that it was never about you trying alone. You fought so hard. You fought to keep yourself whole. You fought to look good. But now it's time to stop fighting against who only wants to heal you. You spent so much time hiding, even from yourself, pretending that that wound no longer hurt, that that unmade prayer was no longer missed, that that abandonment was no longer remembered. But all of that is still there. It's there, waiting for the moment when you surrender and say, "Come, Holy Spirit, come now." And when you say that, when you call for Him, when you allow Him to enter what has been locked for years, He comes. And He comes as one who knows every tear you haven't shed. You're so close to breaking through, so close to truly surrendering, and that's all He wants. You think heaven moves with pretty words? Heaven moves when the heart breaks. And yours has been cracked for too long. Now is the time to let the light enter through the cracks. Yes, it will hurt. Yes, it will burn. But then, it will heal. Do you remember when you felt pleasure in prayer? When the simple closing of your eyes made the whole world stop? When you knew you weren't alone, because his presence embraced you even in the dark? You didn't lose that. You lost yourself, but the presence never left you. It was there in every silence, in every time you held back tears, in every wordless night. It stayed. Now, it's time to return. Return not to what it was before, but to what it always was. The surrender of one who understands that they were not born to live far from the presence. You were not created to live tired. You were not created to survive emotionally. You were made to inhabit the presence, and that presence is what heals what no one saw. You know that tiredness you feel and can't explain? That apathy that embraces you in the middle of the day? That absence of joy? That lack of meaning that grows little by little until it swallows you from within? That's absence of the presence, because only his presence fills the spaces that pain opened. And no matter how much you try to fill it with distractions, with responsibilities, with control, with willpower, only the Spirit can fill it. You tried so hard. You tried to overcome. You tried to forget. You tried to start over. You tried to reinvent yourself. But you can't be new if the old is still screaming inside. And that's why you need prayer. Not the religious one. Not the one that follows patterns. But the prayer that springs from the wounded soul, from the exhausted soul, from the soul that can no longer run. You need to close your eyes and let the Spirit break what is still hard. It's painful, yes, but it's necessary. Because what he's doing in you is not repair, it's reconstruction. He's breaking to remake. He's emptying to fill again. He's removing what you didn't have the courage to let go of. And when that happens, you realize that you no longer need to control everything. You start to rest in what you don't understand. You start to trust in what you don't see yet. You start to breathe in the middle of the war. That's what prayer does. It doesn't change the world outside. It changes the world inside. And when the world inside changes, everything outside no longer has the same power over you. You feel that control has slipped from your hands, but the Spirit is in control. You feel like you're losing, but that's when you're being found. You feel like you don't have the strength, but that's when power is perfected. You don't need to be strong. You need to be available. You need to pray with the words you have, even if they are groans, even if they are laments, even if it's just a silence full of meanings. You're being drawn. It's no coincidence that you're here. It's not chance. It's the Holy Spirit blowing, calling. Have you noticed how everything seems to lose its meaning when prayer disappears? You even try to continue, but the steps are heavier. You try to smile, but your heart is hardened. You try to love, but you're empty inside. It's because the soul without prayer begins to wither. Prayer is not a spiritual luxury. It's a vital urgency. You need to return. You need to say, Holy Spirit, come now, and let him in. He won't force. He won't invade. But he will enter with all his tenderness, with all his power, with all his healing. If you let him, you may be tired. You may be dirty. You may have been silent for months, years. But the presence is a breath away, and a sincere sigh can open the sky. Do you remember when you cried in his presence and felt relief? Do you remember when you felt that he was all you needed? Do you remember when praying was more important than understanding? You can return to that place, and he's here now, waiting for only one thing, your surrender. So stop everything. Close your eyes. Say nothing. Don't try to explain yourself, just feel. Because presence doesn't demand explanations. It only asks that you be there, even without words, even without strength, even without knowing how to continue. Just be, and when you are, he will be. And when he is, everything changes. You will feel the tears fall without warning. You will feel the weight leaving your chest. You will feel your heart beating slowly again. You will feel that you are loved. You will feel that you belong, and not because of what you do, but because of who you are. You were called to live in the presence, and all you need now is to return to it. So pray again. Pray until you have nothing left to hide. Pray until the presence is more real than any pain. Pray until you feel that heaven has entered the room. And don't worry about time, because in the presence, time dissolves, and all that matters is that you are there, And he is too. You know it. You feel it. So let the Spirit do it. Let prayer cross you from within. Let everything fall, the facade, the strength, the control, the fear. Let only the Spirit stay. And you will see. You will see that everything changes. Write in the comments, Holy Spirit, welcome, if you want to open your heart to the divine presence. You will see that everything changes. But not as you expected, because prayer doesn't come with guarantees. It doesn't come with maps, nor easy promises. Prayer comes with fire. It comes with the presence that consumes illusions, that reveals what was dormant, that tears off the thick crust formed by time and trauma. And you will feel it. You will feel that something is breaking. Not out there. In here. You will try to resist, maybe. You will try to tell yourself that it's emotion, that it's tiredness, that it's just the moment. But it's not. It's Him. It's the Holy Spirit touching the exact place where you didn't want anyone anymore. Because you closed the doors. You locked everything. You hardened so as not to break completely. But now you can't hold on anymore. You can even try to continue alone. You can even pretend it wasn't deep. You can try to ignore this call, but you won't succeed. Because when the Spirit enters, He leaves marks. You are no longer the same. You have been touched. And that touch doesn't disappear. It burns. It bothers. It whispers. It awakens what you tried to bury. Do you remember that day? That moment when everything seemed so clear? When you said, I want more of God. And then, time passed. Came the fears, the distractions, the weariness. Came the slow distancing, disguised as busyness. And when you realized it, you were far away. But now is the time to return. It doesn't matter how far you've strayed. It doesn't matter how much you've fallen. You are not being called to explain anything. You are being called to be. Do you know where healing begins? It begins when you stop fighting His touch. Because it's not an ordinary touch. It's not human. It's not emotional. It's spiritual. It's the kind of touch that heals what therapy can't reach, that heals what time hasn't resolved, that cleanses what words haven't touched. It's that touch you need, and it's available, now. But you need to surrender, truly, without reservations. You need to close your eyes and say, take it all. Everything that weighs you down, everything that hides, everything that screams in silence, take it, and He takes it. Not because you deserve it, but because you are desired. You have value. You have importance. You are seen. Even when you think you're invisible. Even when you think no one cares. Even when you feel like all you do is endure. You are being watched by eyes that never blink. By eyes that see through appearances. By eyes that don't judge, that don't accuse, but that attract. And He is attracting you. With love. With gentleness. With power. That's why you're here. Because the moment has come to stop, to let the masks fall. The moment has come to be vulnerable. Yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, it seems dangerous. But it's in that risk that you find life, real life. Not that life that is measured by achievements or stability, but the life that comes when the Holy Spirit begins to dwell, not just visit. That's what He wants to do. To dwell, to stay, to transform the room into an altar, to transform pain into fuel for prayer, to transform the rubble into a temple. And He can do it. But you need to let Him. You need to say with sincerity, I don't know how to pray anymore, but I want to. And that's enough. The Spirit intercedes with groans. He translates what you can't say. He cleanses what you can't reach. You may be broken. You may be full of doubts. You may be feeling too far away. But that's precisely why He came. He didn't come for the strong. He came for those who have reached the end of their strength. You who have already tried everything. You who have already grown tired of trying. You who have already heard 1,000 voices saying that there's no way out. But now, there's only one voice that matters, and that voice is calling you. Do you feel it? That peace that begins to invade the chaos. That urge to cry without knowing why. That relief that has no logical explanation. It's Him. He is saying, I haven't given up on you, and He will never give up. You can ignore it. You can run away again. But He will keep waiting, day after day, silence after silence, tear after tear. He doesn't give up, because you are precious, even wounded, even distant, even hardened. You are still desired by God. And prayer is the bridge back. It doesn't require a ready-made path. It only requires steps, small steps, simple steps. Start today, now, with what you have, with what you feel, with what you still keep deep down. Start with a whisper, with an "I'm here," with a Holy Spirit, come, and He comes. And when He comes, everything changes. Write in the comments, "Holy Spirit, illuminate my path," if you believe that He is the light in the midst of darkness. But you don't always notice it at first. There aren't always tremors. There isn't always an audible voice. Sometimes it's just a different silence, a light silence, a silence that doesn't weigh you down, doesn't suffocate, a silence that welcomes. That's how His presence acts. Not always with fanfare, but with depth. And you feel it, deep down, where no one else reaches, where you yourself are afraid to look. You've already tried to silence that. You've already tried to fill that hole with everything you could. You tried with distractions, you tried with busyness, you tried with control. You tried with strength, with logic, with isolation. But it didn't work, because the emptiness that exists inside, only the presence of God can fill. And now you know that. You feel it. You don't want to resist anymore. You don't want to run anymore. You're too tired. And that weariness is the beginning of surrender. Make no mistake. The greatest battlefield is not out there. It's in there. It's between the voice that says return and the other that says it's not worth it anymore. It's between the presence that calls and the guilt that accuses. But listen, guilt doesn't come from the Spirit. Guilt paralyzes. Presence liberates. You are not being exposed. You are being loved. There is no condemnation here. There is grace. Grace to start over. Grace to be healed. Grace to strip yourself of everything that has hardened you. Do you remember how light you were when you believed that God really cared? When prayer wasn't an obligation, but a refuge? You can go back to that place, not because you deserve it, but because He is waiting. He waits. Do you have any idea what that means? The God of the universe waits for you, waits for you to tire of your attempts, waits for you to stop running, waits for you to decide to open the door. You don't need to open it all the way. A crack is enough. He enters slowly, but when He enters, He transforms everything. You may think that you don't have enough faith, that you've strayed too far, that you've missed the moment, that you've lost the calling, that you've lost the essence. But His presence is not based on your condition. It's based on love. And love doesn't abandon. You need to let that love in. You need to stop defending yourself from Him. Because deep down, you know that what you need is not a new phase. It's not an explanation. It's not an answer. What you need is a touch that heals, that cleanses, that liberates. A touch that says, without saying, you are still loved. You feel like you've wasted time, but in His presence, time is redeemed. You feel like you don't have any more strength, but His strength is manifested in your weakness. You feel like you failed, but He didn't ask for perfection. He just wants you with the cracks, you with the memories, you with the doubts, you just as you are. If you knew how much you are loved, you wouldn't be afraid to surrender. But fear, it tries to keep you in control. And Control has suffocated your soul. You want peace, but you try to keep everything in your hands. True peace only comes when you let go. Let go of what hurts. Let go of what pretends. Let go of what weighs you down. Let go, and let the Spirit do what only He can do. You have been praying for answers, but maybe what you need now is not an answer. It's the presence, because the presence doesn't explain. It sustains. It doesn't solve everything immediately, but it establishes you in the midst of chaos, and suddenly, the chaos doesn't scare you so much anymore, because His presence is there, and when He is there, you endure. You get through it. You start over. How many times have you thought about giving up? How many times have you said to yourself, I can't take it anymore? And yet, you are here. You may be wounded, but you are here, and that's a sign that there is still life, a sign that there is still a calling. a sign that there is still a promise. Don't look at what you've lost. Look at what is still in you. Because the Holy Spirit doesn't give up on those who carry promises, even if everything seems destroyed. Prayer is the place where He rebuilds. It's there that the promises start breathing again. It's there that faith, even weak, is kindled again. It's there that the weary soul finds rest. Do you remember what it's like to rest? To truly rest? Without fear, without guilt, without doubt. To rest knowing that you are being taken care of. That's what He wants to give you. But you need to stop resisting. You need to stop trying to win alone. You need to stop pretending you're okay. You need to stop fighting the touch that wants to heal. It's time to yield. Yield to the love that doesn't give up. Yield to the grace that doesn't accuse. Yield to the presence that doesn't demand. It just envelops. Do you know what it's like to be enveloped by the presence? It's not emotion. It's not illusion. It's real. It's heaven touching earth. It's eternity embracing time. It's God dwelling where you thought it was already ruin. That's what's about to happen. But you need to say, yes, not with words, with the heart, with surrender, with sincerity. Enough of running away, enough of controlling, enough of pretending. It's time to return. And the door is still open. So enter. Return to the presence. Return to the place where tears are not weakness, where silence is not abandonment, where pain is not shame. Return. Because He is there, and He won't leave. No matter how many times you try to hide, He keeps calling you by name, calling you closer, calling you to healing. And you know, that call won't stop until you answer. Write in the comments, Holy Spirit, flood my life. If you desire to be filled with the glory of God, and you feel it now. It's not just emotion. It's not a suggestion of the mind. It's not the result of a momentary atmosphere. It's the Holy Spirit. It's the invisible touch that enters without asking permission, but never forces. A touch that doesn't push, it just invites. You've already tried to fill that void with everything, with people, with achievements, with attempts to forget who you were and what you lost. But that place inside you, only has one name written on it. Presence. You can deny it. You can postpone it. You can keep saying, later, at another time when I'm better. But nothing changes, and time only moves you further away. And even far away, even cold, even apathetic, the Spirit is still there, calling. Because His love doesn't give up. You think you've gone too far. But the presence is closer than you imagine. You may be standing tall on the outside and in shards on the inside. You may be surrounded by people and still feel alone. You may have all the right answers in your mouth and your heart in silence. But He knows you. He knows what no one knows. He knows what you can't name. He knows the look you give in the mirror before looking away. He knows the thoughts that come when everything is silent. He knows the muffled cry, the memory you hide, the guilt you carry. And yet He calls you, not because you have something to offer, but because you are loved. You try to hide, but He sees. You try to ignore, but He remains. And what He desires is not that you pretend, it's that you surrender. You've tried to be strong for so long, but now it's time to be sincere. Sincere with your pain, sincere with your weariness, sincere with your thirst. You've gotten used to living with little peace, little faith, little fire. But that's not what you were called to. You were called to total presence, the one that consumes pride, that cleanses the soul, that transforms everything from within. And that presence is here. You feel it. It's not pressure. It's an invitation. And you know that if you say yes, something inside you will break. But you are afraid. Afraid to feel everything again. Afraid to cry until you can't anymore. Afraid to surrender and be abandoned. But that will never happen. The presence doesn't reject those who surrender. It embraces. It sustains. It restores. And you don't need more strength. You need more presence. You don't need a plan. You need a touch. You don't need explanations. You need surrender. Now, here is the place where you can drop everything. Let go of everything. Open your heart like never before. You may think you're falling, but you're being carried. You may think you're alone, but you're surrounded. You may think you're forgotten, but you're being called. And that call is stronger than your pain, deeper than your doubts, more real than anything you've ever felt. You feel that now. You feel like you've reached the limit, and the limit is where grace begins. You can't pretend anymore. You can't continue like this, because the presence is tearing what time has tried to sew together. It's healing what you thought was incurable. It's touching where you didn't even know it hurt. You can fight. You can resist. But why? Why keep trying to be what you are no longer? You are being transformed. You are being brought back. And no matter how many steps you took away, he only needs one. One step. One yes. One I am here. Do you know how to start? Close your eyes. Don't say anything. Just be. And the Holy Spirit comes. He comes with lightness, but with power. He comes with sweetness, but with fire. He comes with healing. And he begins to remove the weights. One by one, the weight of guilt, the weight of fear, the weight of attempts, the weight of having to be strong always. All of that begins to fall. You begin to breathe again. You begin to feel again. You begin to remember that there is a place where everything inside you makes sense. And that place is the presence. You don't need to rush. You don't need to do everything right. You just need to be there. Allow him to stay. Allow him to dwell. Allow him to cleanse. You spent so much time trying to survive, but now it's time to live, to truly live, to live with lightness, to live with purpose, to live with the certainty that you are not alone. You have not been abandoned. You have not been forgotten. You are not invisible. You are seen, and his gaze is different from any other. It's a gaze that crosses, that penetrates, that knows everything, and loves you still. And you are being drawn by that gaze. You don't need to understand everything. You just need to surrender. It's time to start over, to pray again, to pour yourself out again, to believe again. The Holy Spirit is here, and you feel it, you know. So, don't fight. Don't hold on. Don't hesitate. Let the defenses fall. Let the tears come. Let the presence invade you, because it's here, in this place, at this very moment, that everything changes. And it's not the world that changes. It's you. It's what's inside. It's what no one saw, but the Holy Spirit always saw. And now, he is healing. He is restoring. He is bringing back who you were before the pain, before the fear, before the fall, before the distancing. It's as if time went back, but with more maturity, with more truth, with more presence. You will leave this moment different, not because everything is resolved, but because you have found again what matters. And now you know. You know that you don't need much. You just need him. Only him. It was always only him. And he never left you. Now, let him in. Write in the comments, Holy Spirit, touch my heart. If you believe he can restore all things. Share this blessed video so it can touch and help others like you and me. Want to deepen your faith and prayer life even further? Download our exclusive ebook on how to strengthen your spirituality in today's world. The link is in the comments below. Don't forget to click the subscribe button if you haven't already. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for being part of our faith community. If you'd like to support our channel a little more, consider becoming a channel member. I'm leaving 2 more videos here so you can continue your spiritual search and growth in faith. Thank you, and God bless you all. See you next time.